questions. We have tons of them. What if some of those questions can be answered with a simple email? Now is that time, and welcome to Chat with Charlie. Host Stephanie Lynn is a certified spiritual life coach and psychic medium. She will work together with Spirit to answer both your submitted and live questions. Not only will Stephanie be providing you with insight, but also interviews with amazing guests. Now, your host of Chat with Charlie, Stephanie Lynn.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I am your host of Chat with Charlie, Stephanie Lynn, and you are watching me or listening on WLTK-DB, Let's Talk Paranormal Radio. So excited to have you guys. This week, we are bringing in an amazing guest, an amazing resource for any of you who are interested in holistic healthcare, holistic lifestyles, and just options that are out there to help us remain healthy, to help us operate more on a holistic level. And a lot of times, and our guests will talk about this, holistic can be used with so many things that are done mainstream. So it's not a one or the other. It's an assistant to aid you. So I would like you to all help me welcome Dawn Marie Olson. She is also a certified psychic medium and Reiki practitioner. Good morning, Dawn.
Good morning, Steph. How are you?
I am so well. How are you?
I am good.
It's so nice to have you on. And I'm so excited because I feel like you have this wealth, of knowledge. And I think sometimes holistic lifestyle and holistic care is misunderstood by the mainstream. Does that make sense?
Totally. Yep.
And before we kind of get into all that you do, I guess I should say, could you kind of discuss with the viewers what is holistic healthcare? What do you hope to do with the holistic options?
So with holistic healthcare, honestly, usually I'm the last ditch effort to regain health.
Right.
Usually it's when somebody has been through mainstream medical services and they're like, hey, I'm just not getting anywhere. What can you do for me? And
Yes.
The things that I can do for a person is narrow down exactly what it is that's causing whatever specific problem they have.
Okay.
So, and that's where mainstream medicine misses out because they're just treating a symptom. They're not actually trying to find the cause of the symptom.
Correct.
And sometimes with holistic, it's not just nutrition. It's not just diet and lifestyle changes. It's also the emotional component to whatever is causing the symptom, right? Because we don't just have, let's say, digestive issues. Well, then what is the emotional component to that digest? What are you not processing in your life?
Right.
What are you resisting? Those kinds of things that all are encompassed in what I do. And like you said, I'm also a Reiki practitioner, so I'm really good at picking up those emotional things and helping you and giving you the tools to work through that on your own.
I love that. And it's good morning, Facebook user. Sorry, you must be coming from the group, so you don't always show up with your name. So good morning. Thank you for tuning in. I think you pointed out a really valid aspect that a lot of times traditional medicine, you're treating the symptom or you're treating a issue, where holistic is kind of the whole body and looking at where those emotional ties come in. And doing a whole healing, if that makes sense, or getting people to connect. Okay, maybe you have ulcers. Well, what's some of the underlining with the ulcers, and connecting all of these things together? Because I personally feel like in modern medicine, they have moved away from looking at everything, all the influences versus just the one cause.
Exactly. That's 100% spot on. And it's really the body, mind, and spirit connection to everything that we're going through in life, because there might be some past life coding or trauma that's affecting you in this lifetime. But if you're unaware, somebody like me can bring that into your awareness on how to work through it and heal it and clear that cord, so to speak.
Absolutely. And I think, it's kind of funny because before I really came into understanding my abilities and understanding and looking at the totality of things, I found that, if you would have been talking to me 10 years ago and talking about like the past life and things that we come in with, I'd be like, you're crazy.
Right? Right.
But now having had personal experiences of things and looking at, some of those illnesses that we come into this life with, where are they coming from? And it's this whole soul connection.
Exactly. And then like having the tools and the resources, because probably 10 years ago, you probably would have thought you were depressed or anxious and like, what the hell am I doing?
Absolutely.
I just feel out of whack and I don't know why.
Right. And, I feel like we are in a place right now where we are fortunate enough to have evolved in how we look at things, because how many years ago would you have looked at chiropractic care and that was holistic? That was not mainstream. And
Exactly.
now, people look at, okay, chiropractic care. Oh, that's normal. Well, hopefully
Right.
one day Reiki is normal. Hopefully one day supporting modern medicine with these holistic options is going to be more mainstream.
Exactly. Or even a massage therapist. Like, there was
Yes.
a time when massage therapy was kind of taboo.
Right.
And the interesting part is now a lot of massage therapists do Reiki and it's incorporated into their massages, whether the person knows it or not.
Right. I love that. And I know, like you had talked about, usually, especially as a holistic option, you're usually one of the last,
Yes.
that people come to. And I think it's important for, people to understand that, practitioners like Dawn, they're not looking to replace modern medicine. They're not
No.
looking to, say, hey, oh, you have to have these herbs, or it's that whole body treatment. And I think
Exactly.
people misunderstand that. I think, for me, if I had to talk to myself 10, 15 years ago, I would have had the very box image of, a 60s hippie passing around herbs saying, here,
Yep.
feel better,
Yep.
but it's really evolved.
It certainly has. And it's interesting you say that, because I've had clients come in and they're like, oh, well, you're not who I thought you were. I'm like, oh, what do you mean by that? Well, I anticipated like the hippie aspect.
Yes.
I'm like, oh, sorry. Like, I'm not the hippie, quote unquote.
Right. That's right.
But I can do those similar things in a more modern way, so to speak.
Right.
And had I not gone through experiences with my family, I wouldn't be in this field at all.
Right.
Because my background is medical and, emergency medicine and things like that. So it's kind of crazy how it all comes together in the work I do now.
It is. I look at that too, like the things in our life that kind of pull in
Mm-hmm.
and make us like, oh, okay, I see where this was going.
Right. Like, yeah. The big picture stuff.
Right. And I do want to encourage, viewers, if you have questions about holistic lifestyles, options, please start popping those in for Dawn. I know she would love to answer them.
Absolutely.
And I do want to touch upon, a lot of people do not realize that there's various styles of Reiki.
Yes.
I think a lot of people probably hear more so about Usui Reiki and
Yes.
working with that. What is the standout or the difference with, is it Karuna? Am I saying it right? With the
Yes,
Karuna
Karuna Reiki is Reiki of divine compassion.
Okay.
So I went through all of the Usui levels of Reiki, along with the Holy Fire aspect of that, through the ICRT, which is the International Center of Reiki Training. And I evolved into the Karuna Reiki. It's actually 9 more symbols.
Okay.
So in each one of the symbols with Reiki, they build on each other.
Yes.
And the strength and the frequencies are different. when you're practicing it.
Right.
So that is Karuna Reiki.
Interesting. Good morning, Michael. Michael popped in. I think it's a good morning, Jackie. I think for me that when, I look at other people that are Reiki practitioners, and I feel like Reiki practitioners are kind of divided. And maybe you've seen this where some are very traditional, Reiki, and some start to incorporate their own intuitiveness and other symbols into it. And that's kind of where I tend to be. I'll be like, oh, hey, this sign works for me and this symbol works for me.
Yes, and I would totally agree with that. And when you're Reiki attuned, it opens that doorway too. Like it bypasses your own fears and limitations or ego,
Right.
and allows those new symbols to come in for you specifically to work with your clients. And each client's energy and frequency is different, just like each practitioner is different. And for myself, I feel like when people are like kind of like cut and dry, have to do it by the book,
right,
that their ego is blocking them from like evolving into the next level. And they, in a sense, are working through that with each client they have and getting comfortable with their abilities.
That makes sense. And it's very similar, to how I kind of view it too. And Christina popped in and she said it took her a minute to find us. I'm so glad she did. But she says, good morning, Dawn and Charlie. So good morning, Christina.
Good morning.
So when people come to you, now when we talk holistic, that's so big, and I think people get so overwhelmed. And I know even at the event that I had done in town, I had somebody come and they're like, holistic, well, this is just natural. Why don't you guys just say natural? Why do you got to use holistic? and so I think because it's so broad, what do you specialize in within where you're at and within your company?
So it's funny you asked that, because I've been trying to narrow that down myself. What is my specialty, or what is my niche?
Right.
Really, I see a wide variety of clientele, from digestive issues to anxiety, depression, to liver failure, to heart conditions like emotional stuff. Or food intolerances, because I don't say food allergy, because you can heal the gut enough to where those food allergies are non-existent.
Right.
And I do applied kinesiology, or a technique similar to it as well, to verify intuitively what I already know. I like to say it's the eye candy,
right?
Because everybody needs that.
The draw in.
Yeah, the draw in, and they need to also like experience, because you can't deny when your muscle is strong or weak, depending on what is imbalanced in the body.
Right.
You can't deny that. So they need that. So that's kind of my gateway into like the holistic, because with that, there's like nutrition, there's homeopathy, there's supplementation, there's detoxes, there's like, it's everything. There's not just one thing that gets somebody over the hump and to move into homeostasis or neutrality in the body. So
right. And I know some people who have gone to similar practitioners who have done like the muscle testing, or the sway test, and they use that a lot, and it has made a huge impact on their life. And it's I feel like you have those clients who once their eyes are open to it, it's like this whole new world, right? So they're like, oh, there's all these options. And then you have clients like me, because the one person was my friend, and she's telling me about the sway test. And then of course I hold the cupcake, and I know it's not good for my body. And of course my body responds no, but I'm like, I'm still going to eat the cupcake.
Right.
And but I think people, when you talk to people who haven't experienced like the sway test or aren't open to it, I feel like they automatically have this negative connotation of, oh, our body doesn't respond like that, or our cells don't respond like that. But when you break it down even to and I don't remember the name of the study, but where water was infused with like positive words versus negative
And it
words.
changed the mind
Yes.
molecules. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, if we could educate people on that, which I think is a big part of what you do, is the
Absolutely.
education of this, that people's minds would be blown really when they discover how much more power and control we have over our
Right.
bodies and what's going on.
Absolutely. I see it all the time. I would say 60% of my visits when they come in, it's all about education.
Yeah.
You know, how to retrain the mindset. It's, well, listen to this podcast, or this book is very helpful, or even like the Louise Hayes books,
Sure.
you know, where
Yeah.
there's that mind body connection and they get to see it in black and white
Right.
versus,
Right.
okay, they left my office and they can't muscle test themselves
Yes.
yet. To experience it and have that confirmation, because as soon as they walk out the door, then all the negative thoughts like, oh, that's just mumbo jumbo, she just made it up, or what have you, and then I get 25 emails later, you know, that kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, it's, I think once it clicks, and even not even just with holistic things, but when our soul is drawn to something and we start maybe slowly investing, or somebody's like, well, here's a book, read it. And when
Yes,
it clicks, it's like a big moment. It's like,
absolutely.
holy shit, all of these things, or things that it's just, I don't even know how else to describe it other than it's this huge pivotal moment within your journey.
It definitely is a journey, and that's what some of my clients or people that come into my office, they are still looking for that quick fix.
Yes.
You know, they want that magic pill to help them lose weight or to help them feel better, have more energy. Okay, there is no magic pill. There is
Right.
no magic supplement. You have to change the mind
Yes.
in order to change the body, and vice versa. If your body's not feeling well, your mind's not going to feel well.
Right.
So you have to have a plan, and a person like myself or psychic medium to help guide you and keep you focused on, you will feel better, but it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in a month, because most of my clients are, middle age ish, and their bodies are like done being abused. Like they
Yeah,
want health, they want to
absolutely.
feel well. Like you need to nourish it in order to feel good.
Absolutely. And, I think people, and maybe it's a stigma, I feel like it's a stigma within our society, is, we want that instant gratification. We want those quick results. Like, I want to go from my 180 pounds today to 145 tomorrow. And if that
Right.
doesn't work, I'm not going to be happy. And what we have to look at is, mental health. Mental health plays into all of that.
Yes.
Physical health, not just getting up and moving, and not being, so many of our jobs are sedentary anymore.
Right.
Our bodies are not getting worked like they're meant to. And there's such a stigma when, people reach out for help, or you try to get help, that I just don't understand within our society where
Right.
that stigma comes from. And instead of supporting the whole body, a lot of times people will look down on you like, oh, okay, you do a sway test with what, and instead of trying to understand, how do you feel within the education? And I guess maybe it's like a ripple effect. As you educate people, it kind of ripples out. Do you see that?
Yes, absolutely. Because the more you educate, the more confident they get in their ability to help their healing journey progress faster. If somebody, like for instance, with digestive issues, there's an anti-inflammatory diet.
Right.
So, or, homeopathics or whatever to help them on their way. But when they start to notice, like, and they don't always tell me all the symptoms they have,
Right.
but the next visit, they're like, my knee doesn't hurt as bad anymore.
Yeah.
Or, my fingers don't hurt as bad anymore.
Right.
So helping one area also helps the other areas improve as well. And sometimes they don't know how bad they felt until they start to feel better.
I agree. Yeah. And I can relate to that as just somebody who has had chronic pain and going to the chiropractor, for the first time and being like, oh oh, my body was not supposed to feel that way. And,
Right.
but I think we don't realize that. We think, especially in a chronic situation, this is normal.
Right. Right. And it's funny you mentioned chiropractor, because that's like a big, like my referral, like everybody's spine needs to be aligned,
right?
Whether you think that it doesn't or not, because if the spine's not aligned, the brain can't function because it can't send the signals out in the correct manner to help things. So that's a very big part of my practice. Is like, I can almost immediately tell with like the psychic, medium, medical, intuitive part before they lay on the table, like, hey, their biggest thing is they need a chiropractor.
Yeah.
And that is like the one thing I get the biggest resistance on.
I love that. Yeah. Align the spine and align your chakras, people.
Yes. Like it all goes hand in hand. And if
Yeah.
you look at the chakra, like educational books, there's a big section on the chakras in the spine.
Right.
I mean, it's so huge.
And
like
it is. And
you know,
and I think even people that use like chiropractic care don't necessarily realize all the alignment it goes into, with the chakras, with the energy, with all those other things. They just think, oh, they put my bones back or adjusted my muscles.
Exactly. But it is so, so important for everything. Alignment is key. Like alignment in your life, alignment in your body, like that word comes up a lot. And or even drinking water.
Oh, yeah. It's a big one.
I don't know how many people that come into my office and they're like, well, I drink a lot of water. I'm like, yeah, but you're peeing it all out. So technically you're still dehydrated.
Right.
And you're like, what? Your cells are not healthy enough to absorb the water. So you're still chronically dehydrated. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done still.
It is. And Jackie says, I've definitely found recently, the more I've accepted my journey and readjusted my mind, the better I feel. My energy is changing for the good. And I've also probably lost about 10 pounds. It's nice to start feeling like me again.
Hallelujah. Good job, Jackie.
Yeah. And I think that, as you make these little steps, and that's why they tell people, even like people that are in depression, if you just get up and wash your hair, just get up and vacuum. It's little steps lead to bigger progress.
Right. And it's the little tiny baby steps. Like sometimes you might not feel like getting up and washing your hair.
Right.
But sometimes you really just need to push through that.
Yes.
Or maybe you don't feel like washing your hair, but you can drink a glass of water.
Right. Yep. Find the little thing you can do. Try to, it's about changing that perspective. What can I do right now? Not what can't I do?
Right. And sometimes they just need that little direction. And that's that holistic approach, like,
yes,
okay, I'm feeling this way and I don't know what the next step is.
Right.
Or what should I do or shouldn't I do? And it's really having those support people in the holistic realm, whether it's energy medicine or what I do with nutrition response testing. Like all of us are a team. Yes. And sometimes it's matching those energy frequencies with the right practitioner too.
Absolutely. And I feel like when you get, and no niche is without areas of ego, but I feel like when you get into the right niche, even like for me, if I'm working at venues and, somebody might walk in the door and walk right up to me, I tell them, go walk around. Go make sure you find who is the right fit. Or if somebody comes to me and says, hey, I need help with this, I might not feel like a right fit. And I'll refer them, to somebody else. Because to me, and I know for you also, it's not about my advancement. I don't need to be seen as this whatever. It's about you ultimately finding the help.
Exactly. And sometimes we are just that person that says, hey, I'm not the right fit. Let me help you find who might be the right fit. And that's our role in their healing journey. And that's okay.
And I found more and more, in some areas that it's this hands-off approach. And especially with like mental health, it's okay, here's this, or, do this, but it's a hands-off approach.
Right.
And there is definitely a difference between enabling and being supportive.
For sure.
And I feel like, especially within the holistic community, we find ways more so to be supportive versus enabling. I mean, I've had people come to me for, mediumship or psychic help where there is very clearly some emotional or mental issues attached. Right. And so it's approaching that going, okay, I can help here, but let's find you support there.
Right. And like, sometimes we are just the resource.
Yes, absolutely.
It's not always, it's never about us. That's
right.
The thing. It's always like, we're not in this line of work for us. We're in this line of work for others.
Right.
That's the biggest thing. I mean, there's always that bad apple in the group, but
oh yeah. And in anything, I've had bad plumbers, I've had bad contractors. Right. I mean, so it's not just psychics and mediums. I've had bad across the board.
Exactly.
Lisa says chiropractic saved my life. I had horrible headaches after breaking a car window with my head. Ooh, it's not a good way to break a car window.
No.
She said the doctor had looked for tumors and offered meds, but it was actually her C1 was completely misaligned. And so I think that's a great example of,
right.
And don't be afraid to, yes. And we're not in any way saying don't listen to your doctor, but, trust your intuition, look at other options, look at other doctors, second opinions, those kinds of things.
And some people don't know what that intuition word means.
Right.
It's that gut feeling that, well, this isn't the right way, or something just doesn't feel right. And it's interesting that she says C1, because C1, when you talk about energy, is our connection to the divine.
That's awesome. See, I didn't know that. I like that.
So my question goes, so where were you at in your life when that particular accident happened to bring your awareness to your C1 causing whatever?
Very interesting. Yeah. Lisa, if you're still listening, that would be interesting to hear. So we are going to take a quick break. When we come back, please keep popping in your comments. Let us know where you're watching from, and we'll be coming back with Dawn in just a minute.
Yeah.
Would you like to be a part of something new, something different? Host a show with WLTK-DB Talk Radio and dare to be different. We offer full production and live engineering of your show by a real person, not a pesky computer. Just visit WLTK-DB.com and click pricing to get started. It's not as much as you think, and a great way for you to get your message to the world. Better hurry. Slots fill up fast and you don't want to miss out on this excellent opportunity. Visit WLTK-DB.com and contact us for more information now. WLTK-DB Talk Radio. Paranormal talk is our business, and business is good. From its beginnings, Used was created to unleash the excellence of nature's healing powers and bring them to people everywhere. With almost 90 years in the market, they are considered a worldwide pioneer in complete herbal wellness therapy. All Swiss Used products are natural, essential oil-based, pleasant, and harmonious. They are extracted from plants and herbs with the latest technology to ensure the best results. Swiss Used Live Healthy with consultant Stephanie will guide you in the right direction to find the perfect essential products just for you. For example, have an upset tummy? Try our soothing chamomile that has not only been used by many, but trusted for years. Keep in mind, you just can't get these amazing oils at your local shopping center. They're just too special. For that, you need a connection. And that connection is Stephanie. Want some? Then head on over to Facebook and search Swiss Used Live Healthy. That's Swiss Used Live Healthy. And contact Stephanie today.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It is 25 past the hour, and I am here with Dawn, and we are talking about holistic medicine options, just kind of filling people in on what they can expect, what they can go and seek through holistic care and Reiki. So if you have any questions about that, please feel free to pop that in. We would love to answer any of those questions. So kind of getting back to, we talked about the holistic, but popping back into Reiki. And I would assume, and I don't want to assume, but that in a lot of cases when you're working with clients, it's a mixture of either, some of the holistic, like the gut testing or the muscle testing and those things leading to, hey, let's get into an alignment, maybe using Reiki, or Reiki leading to getting some messages of, hey, I think we need to heal this too. Is that kind of how it works for you? It's one kind of holds the hand of the other.
Absolutely. And that's one area where I will say, honestly, I struggle the most in my practice is combining the two, because really they're one.
Right.
Before you lay on the table, I'm getting messages from guides or my own intuition about what's happening. And usually there's always an emotion that's affecting your healing journey. And there's always something physical that's also affecting your healing journey. So I really like to address that. That's all part of my initial consult. We can do the muscle testing and you can choose one or the other, but you really get full benefit if you do both.
Right.
And sometimes my Reiki isn't just Reiki. It's like doing psychic surgery and using crystals and essential oils to help break through the block or the barriers to the physical body healing. So,
and when you talk about blocks, I know what you're talking about. Could you explain or give an example to the viewers of when you meet a block when you're doing Reiki work, what that means?
Okay. So it's different for everybody, but in my terminology, a block is just that. It's something that's hindering the energy going where it needs to go to bust open. It's almost like a rock sometimes, and you have to bust open that rock to see what's in there or what it's holding down or holding back. It's just, how do I want to say it? Because like in acupuncture, the acupuncturist is putting a needle in the energy line or the meridian, but he's putting it at a blocked point to help open it up. And essentially, Reiki does the same thing, or energy healing does the same thing. Or it's a crystal. The energetic frequency of that particular crystal placed on that specific area is what's needed to bust through whatever is holding you back or blocking that area. So it's just an energetic roadblock. Here's the stop sign. Nothing can go in or past or around. We have to correct it or break through it.
And when you talk about roadblocks, just to clarify for the viewers, you're talking about, it could be like a past life, like not accepting of love or self blockages.
Roadblock can be anything, and it can be all of the above. So it can be something from a past life. It could be an attachment from a loved one. It could be, and I mean attachment, like the energetic attachments. We can go to the grocery store and feel good when we go in, and we come out and we're like, shit, that was an awful experience. Everybody was angry, and now I feel like it's that picking up of the other people's stuff that sometimes we have to work through when we're doing energy healing or Reiki, or even taking a homeopathic remedy to help calm things down and break through that barrier as well. So a block, barrier, all kind of mean the same thing to me. I guess.
No, and I totally get it too. And I know even in working with, and even some of our colleagues that we've done classes with, and they'll be struggling with something and they're like, I know it's a self block. I just don't know where it's coming from. I don't know, and so we do, I think, fight with these invisible, feelings and not understanding why it's presenting, where it came from. It could be a childhood trauma too.
There's so many things that can attach to us or mingle in our energy fields and we're not consciously aware of it. It's the unconscious part of it that we do need that help with, as energy healers and workers and psychic mediums, and just the everyday normal person needs help with. And for myself, even, like, I always feel like I'm protected and grounded and surrounded in white light, but sometimes that barrier gets like weighed down.
Right.
And then I'm like, well, shit, I don't feel normal. What the hell is going on? But it does take a little bit of that conscious effort to realize I need to go get some energy work from somebody else, because I can't work through this on my own. Like, I need that help to get rid of it. So,
and I think that's another great point, because a lot of times when we're in this field, we fail. We tell people all the time, self-care, do this, bubble up, but we fail to recognize those signs sometimes ourselves of, hey, I need to go get realigned or straightened out.
Right. Because for myself, I just think I'm always protected, and like, I don't have to do it all every day. Like, I just, or sometimes I do it and it's like, oh, that's just not enough. What's going on? And that's when I reach out to, like, hey, can you work on me? Because
Right. I something's not right.
Yeah.
Lisa says that's literally her every time she goes into a store. She hates shopping, which I understand. I hate shopping too. And she also says, she's learned to, listen to her intuition now, as I've had way too many physical hits to the head, literally, to not listen. Sounds like that metaphysical or not metaphysical 4x4. We get that.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't think any one of us in this field, or at least people that I know, would say that has not ever happened to us, because it has.
Right.
So what would you say is the biggest draw, to having people incorporate the homeopathic and the holistic options in with what they're already doing?
So again, like, if they're coming to me, they're missing something.
Right.
Like, something's missing from their current regimen of care. But the things they can get from me are like that balance and the knowing, like, okay, I'm on these medications for my high blood pressure, but why is my high blood pressure high?
Yeah.
I have AFib, but why? What is going on in that heart chakra that's causing that to happen? Or is the body just so worn down by whatever that we need to rebuild it back up from the bottom up, and get off some medications, or maybe we need to add medication. So really, they're coming to me for answers. And sometimes it's just that providing that little ray of hope that there is hope and things can get better.
Right.
They're at their wit's end. Like, I'm doing all these things and I'm not getting anywhere. I don't feel any better, or I feel worse.
Exactly. I think that's a great point. So we do have, let's see, I start it here. And they said, after breaking through a block for someone, did you ever have a person get over emotional from like an energy surge?
Yes, all the time. That's a great release. And tears are very detoxifying as well.
Yes.
I've had all kinds of things happen on my Reiki table when I'm working on them. So tears are good. I've had people laugh through a whole session because that's how they release. I've had people have an orgasm on the table because that was an energetic release. Right. I've had people yell and scream and they didn't even know why or understand what was happening. But that's that conversation afterward. Like, did you realize? I've also had people like jump and jerk.
Right. Have muscle reactions.
Yeah. And that's, again, releasing that energetic block to those meridian lines and let the energy flow. So that's also another good point. Like, you can have a healing reaction from a healing session.
Yes.
Like, you can really detox emotions. You can detox physical symptoms. Like, you may feel fluish or feverish after a session.
Right.
Your emotions might be up and down like a roller coaster after a healing session, because it's bringing up those things that were not consciously aware to handle on our own.
Yeah. And I know, likewise, I was in this position, trying out Reiki and having somebody work on me for the first time. I'm like, I'll try it. And I felt nothing during, but the next day it was life-changing. And so I think, sometimes people, it's that opposite end where you don't have a reaction that you're noticing, but the next day it was like, holy crap, it
What
was
is
just
this? Yep.
Yeah. Like, where did this come from? I'm like the Energizer Bunny now. I got all this stuff going on. So
right. And some people, they literally just sleep through the whole session.
Right.
And they're like, well, I didn't feel anything. I'm like, okay, but you were snoring, which is great because that allows the energy to go deeper and heal. Like, spirit steps in and says, this is what this person needs at this time.
Right.
So the sessions kind of are led by spirit. They're not led by me. I'm just channeling.
Yeah. Right. I always say I'm just the copper wire. Like, that's all I am.
Yeah, exactly.
So I kind of want to switch gears, but before we do, can you tell people, and I did, for people that look at my event links, all of Dawn's links are in there, but do you want to tell people where they can find you, how they can look at your services, make appointments?
Sure. So I have a website. It's basically just a plain Jane web page. It has my contact information on there and a little bit about the services I do. Same way with my Facebook at Holistic Works, and I'm on Instagram too at Holistic Works by Dawn, or Dawn's Holistic Works, something like that. Anyway, I'm pretty
I did post it. I did
find, text message, email, all of the normal routes. And I can do remote sessions. You don't have to come in person. That's another thing that is hard for people to understand and grasp.
It is. Yeah. And I think that's a great point, also to point out to them, like, hey, you don't necessarily have to be right here. Even to try to understand it, to explain it to people, to have them understand how practitioners are able to do that is difficult. But it is something that you can do.
Yes, exactly. It's like explaining how we get information as a psychic or a medium.
Yes.
Sometimes we can't always. Like,
right. Yeah. Sometimes it's like, But speaking of psychic medium, that's kind of where I wanted to move into next and talk a little bit about your journey into that and how you work within your psychic mediumship.
Sure. So I think when I was younger, I remember like getting premonitory dreams, like everything came in a dream. Yeah. And I remember like expressing my dreams to people and they're like, whatever, but as I got older, I wanted to keep those dreams to myself. But when they would come true, I'd be like, right. And then in my early 20s and 30s, I would still get the dreams, but I really didn't think too much of it because I was stuck in that's whatever period I needed to go through at that time. Right. So when I got Reiki attuned, it really set them on fire again, but I only used it during sessions.
Okay.
And I didn't even realize that that's what I was doing until, I went to one of Diet Renee's beginners events, and I'm like, oh, maybe I really am this.
Right.
And just kind of went to her intermediate, and then just one thing just keeps leading to the next, right? It's step. And then because of my medical background, I get a lot of medical intuitive information, but interestingly, not during Reiki sessions. That's more it was separated during this process. It's very specific when I do a medical intuitive reading versus when I do a Reiki session.
Okay. It's interesting. It's interesting. And how not even, I feel like us intentionally doing that split, that sometimes that split just happens.
Right. And that's totally what happened to me. Cause I'm like, what am I doing? What is this?
Right.
And I would go through a Reiki session and I would get information, but it wasn't the same after I was doing my mediumship development.
Right.
So they really, a spirit just nope, you're going to separate it. Yeah. And this is where you got to work. So.
And do you do psychic medium readings for people also?
I do, but I also find that those go more like medical intuitive. Like,
Right.
I can start out like channeling from lost loved ones. And then by the end of it, I'm like, oh, but your heart is blah, blah, blah.
Right. It's just, and I feel like though, for all of us, or at least most of the psychic mediums I've talked to, you can, like you said, you can connect, you can do that, but spirit definitely has a niche that they pull us back into.
Yes.
And so if somebody came to you for a reading, the information they got from you would be completely different than what they get from me.
Absolutely. Yep.
And I think, for us, it makes sense. Like, I understand why that happens. But when you look at people who maybe are a little less educated with how it works, they're like, and I think that's why people assume so many psychic mediums are frauds, because they feel the information they get from you should be exactly the same verbatim that they get from me.
Absolutely.
And that's not, just like, Dawn has a different circle of friends than what I have. We have some friends that are similar, but a whole lot that are different.
Right.
We talk to different people. And I feel like it's that way, with the spirits.
Well, absolutely, because who you channel might not be the same person that feels like they need to come through when I'm trying to channel for somebody.
Right.
And it could be the same person.
Right.
That we're reading for, but the energy and the frequencies that allows messages to come through are different. It's that energetic match again. So
yes. And I've had instances where I was at an event reading for a mom, and her daughter was getting a reading from somebody else, and had a person coming through, and she wasn't accepting the message. Then later came back up to me because her daughter the same through during that other reading, and she received the message, and the woman took it from the daughter. And then she came back and she's like, oh, I'm sorry, but it's very interesting how that all works.
Right. And they have to be open to all of the messages. And sometimes be open to even the not so good things.
Yes. Yeah. It's not, and I always laugh at those memes where it's like oracle card readings and the reader's like, just knock your shit off. Like, sometimes we have to take that accountability of things that are going on.
Exactly.
So we are going to take another short break. Would you like to stay till the end and pull some cards for our viewers?
Sure. That sounds fun.
All right. So when we come back, Dawn will do the end of the show card pull after I talk about a little bit of stuff coming up on the station and what to expect next week on the show. So stay tuned, everybody. We'll see you in just a minute.
The unexplained. It's all around us and usually supplies more questions than answers. You need answers. You need Cross Country Paranormal. Founded by Benjamin Young, CCP seeks to train, educate, and mentor anyone that has a passion for the paranormal. CCP is building a network of teams and investigations across the country, and all experience levels are welcome. Learn more about CCP on their website, ccpinvestigations.com, where you can find frequently asked questions, check out their equipment, follow their latest events, and of course, shop. Visit them now at ccpinvestigations.com. That's ccpinvestigations.com. Cross Country Paranormal. All are welcome. All are family.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's about 9:45, and you are listening live to Chat with Charlie on WLTK-DB. Let's Talk Paranormal Radio. And I am joined by a holistic wellness practitioner and psychic medium, Dawn Olson. So I have just had so much fun with you being here, Dawn, and I appreciate you kind of going over all these holistic options for people. And, I guess, again, to me, it's being that resource, letting people know they have these options.
Absolutely. Because we don't always know where to find natural or holistic resources. And sometimes it's just like getting on the Google, like, I have this symptom, what can help?
Right. And you know, and I hate to Google anything because every time I do, I'm dying of cancer. Like every time I Google, like, my toe hurts, they're like, it could be cancer. And I'm like, oh, I'm dying because I'm a worrier. I worry constantly.
Right. Well, and I always refer to it as Dr. Google doesn't know everything. But it can point you in a direction of somebody who can.
Right. Absolutely. So I do, before Dawn pulls cards, so everybody kind of, you know, get in that mindset of, hey, what do I need guidance on, kind of thing, because Dawn will pull just a couple general cards, not necessarily individually, but general. So whatever, if she gets, Spirit wants her to pull 4 cards, Dawn will let you know, but then choose all 4, 1 or 3. Sure. I don't know, however you want to do it. But so we do have great shows on the network, guys. There's so many ways to watch it. You can go on the app. You can join the group. I will post in just a second the whole schedule so you can look at it. I don't want to go over the whole schedule right now because of time limitations, and I want to be able to talk more to Dawn. So I'm being a little bit selfish there.
Sorry, they flew out of the deck. I'm
right?
Not usually a card reader. I usually do it myself. So it's interesting. But the 2 cards I pulled from Divine Abundance Oracle cards.
Okay.
From Tosha Silver. I don't know if you're familiar with her.
I'm not.
So she has a book on like opening yourself up to receiving divine intervention and divine messages and things like that. So interestingly enough, our whole show here has been a lot about energy and energetics and things like that.
Yes.
You get the energetic clearing card. During crisis, the Holy One herself may be emptying you of fear and attachments, preparing you to receive her luminous plan. And I'll try to get this up there for you.
I love it.
But look at all that.
That's a beautiful card.
Yeah. And then the other one, interesting, is surrender.
Oh boy, that's a theme lately. I'm not a big fan. I don't think most people are a big fan of that card.
Well, no. And what does surrender mean? That's like my big thing. Like, it's something different for everyone. So take it with a grain of salt, whatever it means for you. But her explanation on the card is sometimes learning to surrender can feel as if you're dying. The ego learns what's the hardest to stop trying. Control the whole universe.
That's amazing.
That's what that one looks like. It's so like busy.
That is a very busy card. Lots of beautiful colors though.
Yeah.
I love it. So if you picked 1 or 2, those were your messages from the cards from Dawn. So Michael Christopher says, I quit my job for Spirit. I can't surrender any further. But you can. But you can. I did too. That was like a show before I agreed to doing any platforms. So there's a lot more, Michael. I got to kick you in the butt. There's a lot more.
Right. There is. And it gets kind of ugly sometimes for sure.
It does. Yeah. It can be such a struggle.
And sometimes you think you're doing all the right things and then you're like, but nothing's
working. Right. I know. I get that. And where you're just like, what's going on? Yeah.
And then the next thing will open up and then you'll be like, oh, okay. But that doesn't happen overnight.
No.
Most of the time. So.
Michael says no with a laughing face. I love it. So next week, everybody on the show, we actually have Michael Christopher and Jennifer Lee coming on. It's our 2-hour special. They are going to be doing psychic and mediumship readings. So send in your questions. Make sure you're here to post them live. They'll be connecting you with messages from Spirit and to loved ones. Tonight at 8 is Voices of the Dark with Kenneth Drake at 9. So make sure you guys tune in. That's a great show. And right before that, The Afterlife Chronicles with Nicole Strickland, another fantastic show. I know you guys will just love it. So please tune in, support the network, share it where you can. And think of some ideas. I would really love to see like a political conversation show come on where we can have decent in the middle conversations. I've been kind of kicking that idea around. Like,
that would be super fun, actually.
it would. Like, if we could just, be respectful. And my theory is like, we all, no matter where we are politically, I feel like kind of agree what we want the end result to be. We just don't agree on how to get there.
Yeah.
And so I think that could be fun. So put on your thinking caps, people. Put on your thinking caps. So Dawn, I want to thank you so much for coming in today. It was so much fun to have you. Yes, thank you. And everybody, we will see you next week. Make sure you check out Dawn's links. Again, I posted those on the page. You'll love her just as much as I do. Have a great week, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.